save me now, save me now, save me now. So why don't you let me live? 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 Hands up. Ain't nobody reaching, man, what's next? Trying to justify it as my fault, homie, that's a stretch. Skip the trial, execution was a style. Wonder if I lose my rights before I lose my breath. Cause sometimes I feel like I'm a black rose in a broken vase, in a broken vase. Sometimes I feel like I'm a black rose in a broken vase, in a broken vase. And the water can save me now, save me now, save me now. And the water can save me now, save me now, save me now. So why don't you let me live? 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 Hands up. We don't want no smoker to represent. Just don't let them know I sold you my last cigarette. Don't let them know I like to play with water guns on the Park Street set. They'll use it as they write. 4 triggers with no regret. Don't let them know I like to whistle down the road, Emmett Till, or I'll get the code, discuss guns with Philando Castile. They'll never take me alive, that's why I feel the way I feel. And if they ever say otherwise, my hands was on the wheel. Cause sometimes I feel like I'm a black rose in a broken vase, in a broken vase. Sometimes I feel like I'm a black rose in a broken vase, in a broken vase. And the water can save me now, save me now, save me now. No water can save me now, save me now, save me now. So why don't you let me live? 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 Cause sometimes I feel like I'm a black rose in a broken vase, in a broken vase. Sometimes I feel like I'm a black rose in a broken vase, in a broken vase.
Our next guest on stage for open mic night, Jon.solo.
I got a question, said the dark rose to the moon. Whose fault was it that the dark rose was pruned? It couldn't grow in the dark, it couldn't grow in the light, couldn't show the world its beauty. though it may, though it might. The moon replied, don't blame me, I did my part. Hid its thorns in the night, all roses look the same in the dark. Ask the sun, he had a better view. To find your answer, ask the sun, is what you should go and do. Got a question, said the wolf to the star so high. What's the reason that the dark rose had to die? Did it attract too much heat because of its originality and amazing hue? Did you try to save it? Did they not like the drip in the morning dew? The sun said, I did what I could, and everyone envied its pigmentation, always citing that the best form of flattery was imitation. I had a fondness for the flower. I could see it was in pain, but for all the love I gave it, it still died, and the other roses should be ashamed. The other roses of the earth didn't feel any pain. Of a different color, but closely shaped the same. They didn't want to accept the blame, though they were liable themselves. They hated the dark rose's roots. They said he brought it upon himself. And at that, the wolf cried, and it could be heard from wide and far. He knew how it felt to be seen as everything but what you are. Seen as a threat, a problem, at every turn, to have to prove his own pedigree, judged over the stripes he's earned. He said, sometimes I feel like a black rose. Sometimes I feel